Hello everyone, KosakChess here, and welcome everyone on the new series on this channel where I am going to analyze 9 games from my tournament where I participated in Arsen Yeghazarian Memorial in Armenia. I participated, yes, so it was in the past. I am not right now in the Armenia, I'm in my home, but anyway, I decided to create such series because this tournament is a really important one in my life. Maybe from the title of this series you will understand why. And for the next 9 days I will be your host and putting the recaps of my games where I will be trying to do my best in showing my thoughts, in sharing with you my analysis, my thinking process, and also sharing with you some conclusions and I hope make it, if not entertaining, I hope at least that you will learn something from these videos. Uh, as I mentioned, this tournament is really important for me, but it started with a pretty interesting, let's say, adventure. Uh, the first round start in general, all the rounds except the last one started at 3 p.m. and to Armenia, to the Yerevan, to be exact, I came at 9 a.m. the same day. So I had a really long trip because my flight from Warsaw was delayed by 2 hours. So I came to Armenia also a little bit later, and one of my friends who wanted to pick me from the airport and bring me to the playing venue was also waiting additional 2 or maybe even 3 hours for me. So once again, I am really sorry for that incident, but it wasn't my fault. But anyway, I came to the Yerevan. And I came to the hotel because the playing venue was in the same place as the hotel. And yeah, I came here about 8 or 9 a.m., something like this. I ate some breakfast, and because of the fact I couldn't sleep in the plane, and in general the journey was pretty long, I decided to go for to take some nap, really short nap, and then to gain some energy, to rest a little bit, and then to stand up and do some preparation. Before I came to the Yerevan, I already knew that I am going to play against Aryan Gholami, the Iranian Grandmasters, one of the 3 Grandmasters which participated in the tournament. But I haven't prepared against him because, well, I didn't have that much time, so I thought that after this short nap, I will I will have some 1 hours or 2 hours maybe to prepare and go directly to a game. But yeah, so I of course I got my room, etc., etc. And when I saw my bed, the first thing I did is I went to this bed and yeah, as I have told you, I took short nap. But it turned out that for some reason, for even today, I don't know how it happened. How is it possible? I was most probably really, really tired because I woke up at 14:55. I put my clock. I put my clock like it should, wake me up at 1 p.m. At 1 p.m. But I didn't hear it. I didn't hear it for some reason. Probably I was that tired that I couldn't hear it. And for some reason, I don't know. I don't know why, but I woke up at 14:55, so 5 minutes before the game. Okay, I don't know. Was it my, I don't know, my consciousness or my intuition or however you want to call it, but uh, it's you know I can't explain it. I can't explain it even today. But I woke up 5 minutes before the game. Uh, I made a really quick shower, because I didn't even shower after I came to the hotel room, and put on some shirt, and ran to the playing venue. They luckily were waiting for me some minutes, so I am really glad to the organizers that they didn't wanted to give me a forfeit. Of course, there were some like 15 minutes available to be late on the game, but yeah, in general, when you get invited to the round robin tournament, you don't really want to be late, especially on the first round. But it happened, and and okay, yeah. So as you can imagine, I didn't have any time to prepare, because directly after I woke up, I ran to the playing venue. And moreover, to make this day even more tiring, I just played a game like about 6 hours of defending the drawish position, but you needed to be very, very careful in defending it. So in the first round, I played the Aryan Gholami from Iran, a guy with 2504. And because of the fact that I didn't have a time to prepare, I opted for the move knight f3. In general, of course, I played the move e4, but after knight f3, I know that if I don't have a time to prepare knight f6, b3, I can play something like this, a calm setup, which maybe doesn't pose big problems, but also doesn't need a big opening knowledge from my side. He answered with the move d6, so of course the move e5 is in the air. I didn't allow him to do it, so that's why I played the move d4, g6, maybe some transpositions to the King's Indian, bishop b2, bishop g7, e3, short castle, bishop e2. So this is a really clean, clear, and simple setup for white. We just put the pawns in the center, we control the e5 square, bishop on b2, knight f3, bishop e2, and after c5 we just do a castle. So we can even claim that this is a normal development, yeah, without any problems. Also, I don't pose any problems for black places, sorry, but anyway, my play is relatively easy. C takes d4, knight takes d4. Sorry, please let me 1 second, because you don't see the bar. Okay. Oh, sorry for that. Now you should see it. Knight takes d4. I retake with the knight, because after e takes d4, my bishop will be closed, and after the move d5, we play some Grunfeld structure, but with the poor bishop on b2. So I took with the knight, d5, c4. So I attack the center, move e5, knight f3, e4, knight d4. We may think that I lost 2 tempos by moving my knight, but now with the pawn on e4, this knight will be never attacked by his pawn, because c5 pawn doesn't exist and e5 pawn will no longer exist. So knight on d4 now is perfectly fine. D takes c4, bishop c4, and the move a6. So his intention is to go b5 and bishop b7, knight d7, and the development really easily. With this pawn on e4, he has some space. If he manages to play some move knight e5, he can potentially jump onto d3 square, which might be really unpleasant for me to face it. I developed my knight d2, knight bd7. He didn't want to start with b5 because was most probably afraid of that I have bishop e2, and after bishop b7 I can claim some move a4, and after b4 get some really nice square for my knight on c4. I don't have, unfortunately, the pawn on e5, so I can't reach d6 square, but anyway, this c4 square is really proper for this knight. Knight bd7, queen c2, so normal, still normal development. Also, I am also attacking this pawn, and I make the communication between these two rooks, so we can really beautifully say that these rooks are coordinated with each other. b5, bishop. Bishop e2 was better. I played the move knight c6. Knight c6 is for... I played it for totally no reason, this knight c6 move. Knight c6, I think I can easily claim it as a inaccuracy right now, because there's no need to play knight c6. I don't threat even anything. I should just retreat with the bishop on e2, and after bishop b7 play something like rook c1. So it's nothing special. I just develop pieces, you know. After rook c1, I can escape on b1, even then put the queen on a1 and shoot along this black diagonal. But knight c6, I thought that after queen e8, now I escape with the bishop on e2, bishop b7 and knight a5. And for some reason, I thought I was smart that knight on a5 is better than centralized knight on d4. So yeah, it only says that I wasn't in best mood in this exact round, because I lost another 2 tempos by moving this knight. Well, to be honest, from the beginning of the game, I played knight f3, knight d4, knight f3, knight d4, knight c6, knight a5, knight f3, d4, f3, d4, f3, d4, c6, a5. I made 6 moves with this knight to put it on a5, on the edge of the board. So, not a good behavior from me. I should definitely leave this knight on d4 square and just escape with the bishop by playing bishop e2. I played the move knight a5. He developed a rook with a tempo, attacking my queen. So I have to move it. I played the move queen d1. I didn't want to play queen b1 because I really wanted to develop this a1 rook, and I thought that its place belongs to the c1 square. So queen d1 and bishop a8. And I don't know what was in my head. Like, did I really thought that this position is superior than this one? When you also have the rook on c1, when you also escaped your queen, but with the knight on d4. Something went definitely wrong in my mind. Bishop a8, yeah, rook c1. I played, and the move queen e7. So now he coordinates his own rooks. But now I am really struggling with finding any plan, because I didn't develop all of my pieces. My rook is still on the f1 square. So putting the rook on e1, sorry, doesn't really change anything. In paradise, I would put it on the d1 file, sorry, where this rook might be active. But it's hard because of this queen is on d1. So I was calculating rook takes c8, and maybe the move queen a1, trying to develop the rook. But there is the move rook c2, unfortunately. And the thing that is after rook d1, there is the move queen b4. And now we see the main drawback of this knight standing on a5. It isn't defended. It stays on the edge of the board. It does totally nothing. And after queen b4, I am losing him already. I can't defend him. I can't defend this poor knight. And seeing all of this, I played knight b1. Because after queen b4, I wanted to somehow connect one of my pieces with this knight. And after queen d2, I am not losing material immediately. But imagine, if you need to play knight b1, so undoing your knight, playing a move backwards, in order to not lose immediately, it means that something went wrong. Okay? Remember it, guys. Knight c5. So he plays actively, rook d8 next, and you can see that this pawn, as I mentioned before, has a really helpful, because it creates the nice outpost on d3 for the black knight. Bishop a3 I played to pin this knight, and knight d5 he played. Rook f8 he can't play right now. It was my trap, because I can play rook c5 move, a really important thing. After which I thought I am winning, but now I see I don't, because after rook takes c5, if he captures my queen, I take the rook with the check. He can cover from the check, but bishop e7, rook c8 leaves me with piece up, so I am winning. After rook c5, if he takes the rook on c5, I take the bishop on c5 with the bishop on c5. And during the game I thought I was winning, but I am not, because queen c7, and he still attacks my two pieces. I need to move my queen somewhere, and after moving my queen, he gets the knight, and the position is equal. But we exchanged something, we exchanged his active pieces, so I am happy with that exchanges, and I am not wrong, and I'm not mad at myself that I equalized the position. So he couldn't play rook fd8, and that's why he played the move knight d5, centralizing the knight, also trying to maybe cover the c3 square, so I can't move my knight because of knight c3 ideas. That's why I played this mysterious move rook c2. In order to play the move queen c1 and develop the rook, I have to do it somehow. I didn't really want to play queen d2 because rook fd8 right now, and these ideas with rook c5, bishop c5 don't work. Rook d1, knight c3, and you know, the queen is attacked now by the rook, and the rook on d1 is also hanging, so I am losing the material. That's why I played the move rook c2, and after rook fd8, queen c1, and I went out, English. I went out of all the x-rays. Oh, that's what I wanted to say, yeah. Queen c1, rook d1 maybe potentially next, but the move b4. Of course, the only move, because I'm also attacking thrice this c5 knight, but he plays the move b4. Bishop b2 and knight c3. Really unpleasant move to face, because he calculated everything that if I recapture with the bishop, he doesn't have to take immediately, but plays knight d3 first. And my pieces are really stuck, you know, like you can see my pieces are all passive. Maybe this knight isn't, but it stays on the edge of the board and it's unprotected, and it's really stupid there, really stupid. The thing is that if I take the knight with the bishop, he plays e takes d3, so he attacks my rook, and if I move it, he b takes c3, and with these two pawns, with two rooks behind them, we are talking about the middle game, okay? But he may promote queen in the middle game, in like the move number 28. So this variation was really unpleasant to face. That's why I had to take the pawn on b4 in order to, you know, to not allow him to make him do these passed pawns. So I took one of them, but he plays knight c1, bishop e7, some exchanges, rook c2, bishop d1, so I threw in this move bishop d1. I could also take on d8, but after knight d2, king h1, something similar might happen in the game, but I didn't really want to give up right now my light squared bishop. Well, I did, but I think in a little bit better reduction than in this variation, because I played the move bishop d1, so I am attacking both of these rooks, so he needs to give up one of them. Rook d1 happened in the game. There was nothing wrong with playing rook c8, but comparing this position to the previous one, this knight is on c1, it didn't give me a check, so maybe I have time to play rook d1, and after knight d2 have king f1 and put the king closer to the center. So I thought this reduction is better for me. Rook takes d1, rook d1, knight d3. So I am unfortunately really suffering there, and I knew that during the game I understood that if I managed somehow to survive the game, I would be the happiest person in the world. Because the way I played in the opening was so poor and so disgusting that I couldn't stand it, that I can play that badly and that passive in the opening. Even though I played, you know, as I have told you, knight f3, b3 isn't the line you should be afraid of. But you can play normally, you can develop pieces anyway. But I forgot how to do it, and now I am living with the consequences of my decisions. a4, so, you know, I defended this pawn and also posed some trap, because he can't take the pawn on f2 because of the check, and I am getting a free bishop. If he takes with the rook, I play rook takes d3, so I am getting rid of the the only defender of the f2 rook, and I am winning a piece again. He played the move bishop d5, really annoying move, but a really good one move. I will even put there a exclamation mark. This knight is now limited because every single square this knight can jump on is protected by this strong bishop on d5, and additionally this bishop attacks the b3 pawn. Knight a3, I am trying to, you know, pretend that I gain some activity. Rook a2, knight c4, and bishop c3. You can see that he has bishop pair, his bishops are so active, and he is attacking my poor knights, so I am just waiting. I play the move knight b6. Again, I am trying to pretend that I am active and posing some threats. Okay, of course, the only threat is that I attack the bishop, so he escaped with the bishop, knight c4, f6. For now, we have some maneuveral part of the game, so maybe I can accelerate the tempo of it, because now it's not there's nothing special there. f3, I am trying to somehow make some pressure on the center. King g7, f takes c4, f takes c4. Maybe a short disclaimer, this is the move number 39, so we were both low on time, so we wanted to reach the time control for me to have a time to survive, and for him to have more time to calculate variations which will beat me. Rook e2, bishop h4, and the move h6. Now we reach the move number 40, so again we are trying to play some maneuveral game. Bishop e7, g5, so he's slowly improving the position. Somehow I put it in my pieces in that way that he can't really attack my weak pawns. This pawn is weak and this pawn is weak, but the e3 square is quietly nice protected, and it is not easy for him to reach the b3 square, because rook b2 he can't play because of this knight, he can't play knight c5 because of this bishop, so somehow my pieces are pretty annoying for him. But for the other hand, my pieces are staying on such strange places, that on such strange squares, that I can't make my own threats. That's why I am waiting. I played the move a5, king g6, knight a4, so I attacking the bishop, bishop g7, knight c5. So if I exchange more pieces, I hope that I will have more chances to survive. Bishop c4, bc4, rook takes e3, and knight e6. I didn't want to take this pawn, although I know right now, because now I am clever, I analyze this game, that I should take this pawn. I'm sorry, but I didn't like the move rook e2 with the idea of knight f4 and bishop d4, and I thought that my knight is now a little bit too far away from the whole action, so okay, I grab the pawn, but I might have a great problems on the king side. But it turns out that I have the only move in this position, knight b4, and the idea is that after the move knight f4, I can just push the pawn. Somehow I forgot about it, that with the knight on b4, I control the a2 square, and my pawn can be just free and go away, and I don't have to be afraid of anything. My king is pretty safe on h1, so now I am wondering why I didn't play knight b4. Most probably, maybe it's an excuse, but most probably I were tired after this whole trip, and the level and the quality of my play was today was really pure. Oh, pure, not pure. I hope it would be pure, but it was just poor. Yeah, knight e6. So maybe trying to exchange this great bishop, but he plays rook e2, and I should do it. Because I played, I think, unconsequently. Because I played knight e6 with the intention of chopping the bishop on g7. But if I had a moment to take this bishop, I didn't do it for no apparent reason. I could just take the bishop on g7. And after king g7, bishop f6 check, king g6, and again I can even come back to on e7, threatening rook f6, rook a6. If he is even unconscious and go to on h5, maybe I can even pose him some mating nets. But instead I went for h4. So I put some great hopes on this knight, because it covers the d4 square, it covers the e4 square, of course. The f4 square, sorry. But he just chops another pawns. You know? gh4. Knight f4 is in the fork because knight controls it. But I play knight f4 anyway. Again, I could take the bishop on g7. King g7, bishop f6. King g6 and bishop h4. And rook f6 is still the threat with taking this pawn. Again, I can't tell you. I can't tell you why I didn't play this. I don't know. Maybe I was afraid of the move e3. But anyway, I can play rook f6. King h5, bishop g3. And if he wants to, you know, put this pawn on the e1 square, in the worst case, I can play rook e6. Or even I think I can start with taking the pawn on e2, rook e6. And covering the e1 square. With this bishop, with the additional help of this bishop, I should save it. Rook d1, king h2. If he promotes to a queen, I take, and push the pawn on a6. In the worst case, I think I can even play a7 at some point. Maybe not right now because he will escape with the knight. But with these two passed pawns, this material should give me a potential. It should be enough to save the draw. But I play knight f4 and knight f4, rook f4, bishop e5, really strong move. And I can't take the pawn on h4 because the move... no, bishop g3, rook g4, what I am talking about. There is the move e3. Yeah, there is e3 move. And rook e1 is the mate idea. And after king f1, he plays rook f2. King e1, bishop c3, e2, e1, I am losing immediately. But after king g1, rook d2. The thing is that now rook d1 is the threat, and after king f1 there is the move e2. King e1, bishop g3. King d2, e1, queen, and gg. So I played the move king f1. Rook e3 happened in the game. Rook f2. Rook f2 is actually a losing move. I should go for rook f8, but this move is pretty hard to spot. It was pretty hard spot for me. After bishop g3, bishop b4, I should realize that I am not losing right now. I am in mating nets. This pawn is free, and this pawn goes. But somehow I think I can hold it. But I play the move rook f2, after which I should be losing after the move bishop g3. And there is a nice trick, because after rook e2, he can play rook c3. The thing is that I can't take the pawn on e4 because of the move king f5. And please have a look. This rook is in the center, but can't really make a move. Of course, after rook e2 there is a mate in two moves, rook e1, rook c1, rook e1, and rook e1. But if he goes rook d4, it turns out that the undefended bishop makes the whole difference. Check, check, and rook e7, and GG. And I lost the game. But luckily he didn't. Yeah, he just missed he missed his chance to convert the position and play the move h3, gh3, rook h3, rook f8. Now I realize that I should make my rook more active in order to have some chances. Rook a8, rook a6 is the threat. Rook c3, king e2, I played. I could go rook a8, but as I have told you, maybe it was really of the fact that I was tired and I wasn't in the mood, but I was really unconsequented. Maybe I create some new words, so sorry for that, but the thing is that I am not living with the consequences of my choices. That's what I want to say. I should go rook a8, obviously. That's why I played the move rook f8. But I went king e2, rook c4, king e3, bishop d4, really clever move. I can't take the pawn because of bishop g7. And I am losing all the thing. King f4, e3. He's pushing the pawn. King f3, rook c2. He should go rook c7 and trying to exchange the rooks with rook f7. this was the thing he should do. Probably this endgame shouldn't be that hard to convert, but he was somehow afraid of it. But rook 7, rook f7 is easy, because even after bishop b6 he can escape, and with the pawn on h5 he can easily take this pawn. If he, for example, I will maybe tell you the whole winning sequence. He can put, let's say, king e6. He can play the move h4. He can put the pawn on the dark square, because now it's defended. And if the king goes to protect the pawn, or maybe to go for a6 pawn even, I can play h3, bishop g3, bishop e5. So the king needs to be on the king side to have an eye on the h4 pawn. But if it's on f3, now the king can go on d5. And okay, king c4, king h2, king b5, king g4, etc. I am still having an eye on the h4 pawn. But the thing is, now he can change the direction of the play. I can't not even take the pawn on h4, because bishop h4, king h4, king a5, and king b4. The king might be even in the pawn square, but I will first block the pawn. I will first block the way for white king to reach the a1 square, and I am pushing the pawn. I am easily winning. So even if I don't take the pawn on h4, for example, if I still stay, bishop h5, bishop h4, bishop b6, and of course he can maybe disturb me a little bit by putting the bishop on this black diagonal, but this endgame is losing because now I play bishop a5, bishop c3. So he had this was the last moment he could exchange the pieces and go for a winning, probably even an easy winning endgame. But okay, I think I understand him, because if you are 2 pawns up and you need to exchange pieces, giving even 1 pawn, and you have 2 pawns on the edge of the board, you are not 100% sure if you can win it or not. You're just not. You're just not. Because if you are 2 pawns up, especially with the rooks, with the rook who can give checks, who can push the e3 pawn, you want to keep the rooks on the board. At least this is what the intuition tells you to do. But the most practical way to win the position was to go rook c7, rook f7. At least this is what I think. He played the move rook. He played the move rook c2. Bishop h4 happened. So I control the f2 square, and now e2, e1 is okay. It is possible, but I still cover the e1 square. Rook c6, king e4, bishop f6, bishop e1, rook e6. We were discussing after the game that rook c1 is even simpler. Just rook c1. And if I move the bishop e2, e1, it's over, We were, of course, both low on time. But rook c1, yeah, rook c1 is over. But he played rook e6, king f3, bishop g5, king e2. Now the pawn is... now I am controlling the pawn. Rook f6. Of course, I don't allow myself to exchange rooks. Rook b4 to control the h4 square. King f5, rook c4, rook e6, king f3. So we are maneuvering, as I have told you. And rook b6, really nice idea. Now if he takes the pawn, there's a little bit difference, because I take with the pawn, bishop f4, and I play the move king f3, king f5, b7. The thing is that in some moment, I can even transfer my bishop on a7, and with the bishop on a7, I control the b8 square, and the position should be drawish. And also, you need to remember that something like bishop g3 exists. For example, if he plays a5, I might have bishop g3. Bishop g3, king g3, and b8 queen. Yeah. So, for example, I think what he should play. Yeah, I don't know what he should play right now. Bishop g3 is the threat, so that's why he couldn't take the rook on b6. He played rook f6, rook b4. So, pardon, king e8, rook c7. So we are waiting. Bishop b8, king u3, h4. And luckily I know that bishop h4, rook h4, rook f6, I managed to grab all his pawns. And now we are reaching a really interesting endgame, because there, after some moves, I can't really defend the pawn. I heard some noise, but okay, who cares. Rook b8, king a6. This endgame is really interesting, because in general it's drawish. In general it is. But even some top grandmasters are struggling with defending the position. Luckily, like some time ago, I like when I have my own time in the restroom, I really like to read the endgame books, because they are they are, let's say, easygoing. You have a lot of diagrams, you have a lot of examples, you have great comments, etc., etc., and you can just chill and read it. And in one of my visits in the restroom, I read about the rook and bishop against the rook endgame. And thanks to this lesson I learned in the restroom, I knew how to defend the position. Also, I recall one game of Jan Nepomniachtchi where he played against Gata Kamsky. I saw it on the YouTube, on one of the videos. It was a blitz game where Nepo also defended a rook with the rook side against Gata Kamsky, who had rook and the bishop. And combining these two things, I think I created a fortress which he couldn't crash. The thing is that you need to realize first what is the color of his bishop. This bishop is black, but he's dark squared. So you need to, maybe this defense would be a little bit unintuitive. King c6, rook h5, etc., etc. I am waiting, and I don't care. Yeah, but I reached the, yeah, okay, maybe I will show it, because now we are waiting, etc., etc., blah blah blah. Nobody cares. Let's have a look that I put my king on the light squares. This is important. I put the king on the light squares, and this is really important thing when he has the dark squared bishop. King f3, blah blah blah. Oh, rook e6, bishop e5. So if he manages to play rook g1, put my king on the h file. For example, if I go for something like this, rook g1, rook g1, king h5, king f5, he might reach the opposition, and with the king on the edge of the board, he might, as you can even see, create some mating ideas, which we really don't like. So to avoid this, there is a really unintuitive but a perfect working idea, rook g6. What's the purpose of putting the rook just almost next to your king? The thing is that if he gives you a check on g1, you play king h5, and you don't have a time to play king f5 because your rook is attacked. So if he gives you another check, you come back to g4. Remember, it's important to have a one square distance between the rook and the king. Because if I would do, for example, the same thing with the rook on g8, rook g2, king h5, I am losing the rook, which should be obvious. So I have the rook g6 move. He plays bishop f6, so maybe he's hoping that I will move the rook on g8. But no, the rook on g6 is perfectly placed. I move the king. Now, if he wants to reach the opposition, rook g5 idea, right? Rook g5, the stalemate ideas. So I kick off his king, and I come back with the rook on g6. So yeah, that's all you need to know. That's all you need to know. King e5, king g4. This rook might look passive, might look that it does nothing, but it is perfectly placed on g6. King e6, rook h6, rook a1. Okay, rook h5. I decided now if he moved his king and moved his rook, now I want to free my rook, and after some moves I want to do exactly the same. So rook c2. After the check, I play the move king d1. So again, both rook and king are on the light squares when your opponent's bishop is on the dark squares. It wouldn't work if you put the rook and the king on the dark squares. You should do it on the light squares, on the opposite color squares than the opponent's bishop is. This is really important thing. And also rook and king with oh sorry, the board disappeared for a second, but now it works. The distance between rook and the king, only 1 square. Rook h8, rook d2, I am waiting, bishop c3, rook c2, rook h3 and king d1 again, because this move rook h3 with this bishop on c3, as we had in a reversed position. We had the reverse position like this, yeah. So the bishop, so the bishop is controlled by the rook. I can't play rook g8 because of rook g1, and the same thing we have right there. I can't move the rook on a2 because rook h2, and I am losing the rook. I can't go rook c1 because now my rook is too passive, and we went on the with the king and the rook on the first rank, which we can't allow. We may defend it on the second rank, but not on the first. We can also do it on the third, fourth, fifth, wherever and whenever you want, but not on the first rank, because it would be just too much for the opponent. So king d1, rook h1, and king e2, bishop d4, rook d2, rook c1, rook a2. I can now move the rook on a bigger distance, even of 3 squares, because I don't expect the check from the h2 square. Sorry, rook c8, rook d2. Now the game ended pretty soon. Rook a2, rook h8, rook c2, because already after several moves I claimed a 50 move draw rule. For those who doesn't know the 50 move draw rule, when there's a 50 moves without moving a pawn and without a capture, you can stop the clock, show your score sheet to the organizer, and tell that there was a 50 moves without moving a pawn or with taking any piece. And after this, the organizer checks the game, and if there was really no captures and checks, no captures and no captures and what I said? No captures and pawn moves. Yeah, no captures and pawn moves. Within the last 50 moves, the game ends in a draw. And that's what happened in this game. Guys, sorry for that long analysis of this game, but there was a lot of things happening there. And yes, it really happened. With the white pieces, I was struggling throughout the whole game. I was suffering. I was having really bad position, thanks to my stupid decisions, because knight c6, knight f5 idea. For what reason? Just develop pieces. Then I was playing inconsequently. I played rook f8 by trying to play rook a8, rook a6, but I didn't do it. Also, I put the knight on e6, trying to chop the bishop on g7. And when he allowed me to chop the bishop, I didn't do it. So, guys, please, some advices for you. Please, don't come tired to the games, because it will never help you. You need to be full of energy. You need to have energy to concentrate, to think, to calculate. So, please, sleep in the nights, not sleep during the day, because it maybe destroys even your biological clock, and it's really hard then to cover. But anyway, I am happy. As I have told you in one of the moments, I was the happiest guy in the world that I managed to save this position, and I did. Unfortunately with white pieces, but after such a journey, after such a trip, after being so tired, the draw is not a bad result at all. Yeah, thank you very much for joining me here, and expect the recaps of the next rounds. I hope I would be in better mood, I hope I would be in better shape, and I hope the quality of the game itself would be much better. See you in the next videos. Bye.